Welcome to SO 305, Lecture 5, Graphical Presentation of Frequency Distribution. Introduction. As earlier discussed, a frequency table is a numerical presentation of data in an organized summary form. To make this data information more attractive and easier for visualization of important features of the data, we use diagrams, graphs, and pictures. For this reason, this chapter will discuss the graphical presentation of data under the following: 1. Histogram, 2. Frequency polygon, and 3. ogive. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Plot a histogram graph from frequency table, 2. Plot frequency polygon, and 3. Plot an ogive. Pre-test. 1. What is a histogram in statistics? 2. Define a frequency polygon in statistics. 3. Calculate the cumulative frequency for tables in the post-test of Chapter 4. Content. Once data collected from observations have been grouped, tallied, the next step is to present the results pictorially so that their salient features may be made clear at a glance. In making a graphical representation of observations, subjectivity should be eliminated through the following principles. 1. Do not eliminate the 0 point from the vertical axis. 2. Make the height of the maximum frequency on the vertical axis about 3/4 the length of the horizontal axis. This is just an arbitrary rule to prevent subjectivity from creeping in. 3. Label graph clearly so that they can be self-explanatory as much as possible. Graphical presentation of a frequency distribution. The following points should be noted while constructing graphs. 1. A graph has 2 axes: vertical, that is ordinate or y-axis, and horizontal, apsical or x-axis. 2. The scores are plotted along the horizontal axis, and the same characteristic of the scores is plotted on the vertical axis. 3. Suitable units for plotting scores should be chosen along the axis. 4. Set the intersection of the 2 axes at 0 and then choose scales for the axis such that the height of the graphed data is about 3/4 of the width. 5. When the intersection of the 2 axes is not at 0, break the relevant axis near the intersection. 6. Each axis should be labeled and the title of the graph should be short and explicit. 3 most common ways of presenting frequency distribution graphically are through histogram, frequency polygon, and the cumulative frequencies, that is ogive. 1. Histogram. This is a graphical representation of a frequency distribution in which class frequencies are plotted against class marks. Then class frequencies are represented by vertical bars centered at the class marks, whose area is proportional to the frequency. Since the intervals are continuous, the vertical bars must touch each other. 2. Frequency polygon. A frequency polygon is a graphical representation of a frequency distribution in which class frequencies are plotted against class marks. These are then joined by straight line segments. Steps in drawing a frequency polygon. A. Mark the midpoint on the x-axis. B. Make a dot corresponding to the frequency of the midpoint on the y-axis. C. Join the midpoint values with straight lines. D. Extend the curve downwards at both ends so that it cuts the axis at points which are half a class interval beyond the outside limits of the end classes. This should be done even if it means that The curve crosses the vertical axis and ends in the minus part of the graph. The major difference between a histogram and a frequency polygon is that while histogram displays the scores as though they were equally distributed over the interval, the frequency polygon displays the scores as though they were all concentrated at the midpoint of the interval and continuously distributed. 3. Ogive. Ogive is the name given to the curve obtained from the cumulative frequency of a distribution are graphed. Construction procedure. A. Compute the cumulative frequencies of the distribution. B. Let the graph have the cumulative frequency on the vertical axis and the classwork notation on the horizontal axis. C. Plot a starting point as 0 on the vertical scale and the lower class limit on the first class. D. Plot the cumulative frequencies on the graph at the upper class limits of the classes to which they refer. E. Join all the points. Summary. In this lecture, we have discussed the graphical presentation of frequency distribution. The topics taught are the procedure for plotting histogram, frequency polygon, and ogive. We started that cumulative frequency is an offshoot of the addition of successive frequency for its class. The idea of class marks and class interval were equally emphasized. We have come to the end of study session 5. Thanks for listening.